Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on either end of the counter and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members or staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and actions, and comments shall be limited to the issue and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. All cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Terrebonne Parish Council of Wednesday, May 29, 2024. We will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilman Carl Harding. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, I come in the name of your darling Son, Jesus, who, as is written, it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Understanding, oh God, that he wept. And as he wept, wept because of compassion. Oh God, I ask that the compassion is shown here at this council meeting, that it can go out abroad into Terrebonne Parish, oh God, and the blessing be bestowed upon this parish. In your darling Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Smith, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding,
Here.
Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity,
Here.
Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, I say Mr. Amity.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am.
Trust me.
Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on April 24th, 2024. Moved by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on May 15th, 2024 has been done. Approve accounts payable bill list for 5/20/24 and 5/28/2024.
So moved.
Move, Mr. Pleasure. Second, Mr. Babin. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, motion carries. Approve the manual checklist, April 2024. Move, Mr. Pleasure. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machine. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 1, general business. A, key to the city from Mr. Mark Boudreau, thanking him for teaching the de-escalation classes to the parish employees, and I will yield to Parish President Jason Bergeron.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, in an effort for us to make sure that our employees are properly trained and have all the skills and everything they need to take care of our residents and work with the public, one of the things that we did is we partnered up with Mark Boudreau, who was in charge of 911 Communications District, and he can join us now if he'd like to come up, for a de-escalation class. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend it, but I'm planning on making the next one. It got a lot of rave reviews, and it really, again, set up our employees with another tool to go into the toolbox to make sure that we, do everything we can to de-escalate issues, whether in person or on the phone, and to give them another skill set. And so this says we present the certificate in recognition of successful implementation of de-escalation training for all parish employees. The results of your efforts will move Terrebonne Parish forward for years to come, signed by myself and Mr. Ryan Page, the HR Risk Management Director. And so, again, I want to thank Mr. Mark for working with us on this. Didn't charge us and came out and, again, we're going to have more classes coming. An opportunity if any of you guys would like to attend those classes. But, again, we're always working to do lunch and learns and do different things to give our employees skill sets to be successful. So that being said, we could, I guess, do a picture and then we'll allow you to speak if you want.
I don't know if you heard that.
No. Go ahead, share it with us.
Parish President Bergeron said, maybe you can say a few words and do a little de-escalation training right now. This is very humbling for me to be here. I really had a lot of fun. When our parish president and Miss Leilani Adams and Miss Crystal Tempton asked me if I'd like to present or train or teach, that's what I do. 911 communications. Terrebonne Parish Communications District was named for a reason. It's all about communications. And it's how we handle talking to one another, and that's what we're teaching. It's a 4-hour program, and a lot of you guys, I actually saw you, and did you enjoy it? And it teaches you how to communicate and how to de-escalate. And a lot of times we forget that. We forget how to de-escalate. We forget it's not about me, it's about us. And I really am, it's very humbling for me to be here with you guys. This is a whole new council than a long time ago in the 1990s when we started off. So I love having the ability to come and see all you guys today. So thank you all so much. And thank you for this right here.
Hang on just a second, Mark. Mr. Daniel Babin?
Mark, thank you very much for what you do. I mean, it's a vital part of Terrebonne Parish and keeping us all safe. And I'd like to take this course. That would or hear your lecture on it. It would be outstanding because we go back to our leadership Terrebonne days. It seemed like a long time ago. Okay, for 2011, 12, somewhere around in there.
It was a long time.
It was a long time ago. But anyway, thank you very much for what you do and well-deserved honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. And what most people don't realize is you don't see this guy. He works behind the scenes, making sure that when you call for help, somebody shows up at your door. And we appreciate the fact that you do that. And I know it's unnerving to stand here and accept something like that, but it's well-deserved.
Appreciate it.
Besides your giving of your time and teaching this to our employees, which is very important because they deal with a lot of the public on the street daily who sometimes can not be happy about something. So it's good that they have the skills and they're given the skills, and we're more than appreciative of the fact that you were willing to do this. And I guess I'll have to get the schedule as well and see if I can pull off a few hours and come see. I think I do a pretty good job, but I can always learn more.
I'll tell you what, it's a 4-hour course, and talk to Miss Adams and Miss Tipton. They're going to have you set up for it. We're going to do it again during the summertime. So as new groups are being hired, I think the plan is to put them through this communications course, so they'll be able to relate to the public, and because we're all here together, we're all get along together. So,
Mr. Hamner?
Yeah, I want to, when you said they show up for emergencies, they do show up, because when my daughter was 2 years old, she dialed 911, and y'all all showed up. Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
And also my apologies for that.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item B, Dr. Laura Batto, Executive Director of the Louisiana Center for Women in Government, and Ms. Kristen Anslemy, Chair of the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy, would like to introduce Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy, LGLA program to the Terrebonne Parish Council. Ladies. Okay. That's probably her. You're up. Well, you've certainly got everybody's attention.
Y'all will have to excuse me.
Um,
I'm from New Orleans, so I'm driving in, although I work at Nickel State. Thank you all.
Well, you have some saving grace in the fact that you're working at Nickel State, so.
Absolutely, and I've been there since, oh man, a long time, at least 12 years.
So, for the record, please state your name and address.
Absolutely. So now I am in Lafourche Parish resident, but Kristen Anselmi, Anselmi, and 133 Rosedown Drive, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70301.
Okay, you're free to go.
Absolutely. So I know y'all are here for the long haul, so I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. My side job, in addition to being the university marketing director at Nichols, is that I am the program chair for the Louisiana Center for Women in Government and Business. And our flagship program is the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy, which has been in existence for 17 years. We have graduated hundreds of young women out of this exceptional program, and it has boomed. So that is why we are going to different areas and we are promoting it so that we can take in as many young women as possible. There's such a need in our community. When I took on this role in 2021, we had just 60 applicants from across the state. This year, we had 170 applications, 15 of those from Terrebonne Parish specifically. And you'll see I have on the back of the LGLA applicant breakdown, one specifically on Terrebonne Parish. And it shows that basically all of our area high schools have been admitted. But because we only have two current funders from Terrebonne Parish, we've only admitted 2 young women into this year's program. And we aim to change that because all of these young women, to be accepted, have to submit a resume. And we're seeing women that have won national aerospace engineering competitions and done absolutely amazing things in their communities. Women that are 15 years old working for Autism Speaks and advocating on behalf of people with disabilities. These are young women that are going to make a change and they're going to make a difference in their community one day. So we would love to have more young women represent Terrebonne Parish. And that is why we are coming to you, is to tell you a little bit more about the program. The program focuses on leadership, civic leadership specifically as well. They run their own campaigns. They learn about how to run a campaign. We also do career readiness. We have coaches come in and teach about how to get a job, how to speak in public. We also do a lot with entrepreneurship. Everybody in Gen Z wants to own their own business, so we bring in young entrepreneurs. We recently had a young woman that graduated from the academy that started her own skincare line and is incredibly successful. So these are women that graduate from this program and they're going on to do huge things. So what we are looking at, and I did a couple of big points, and I showed that the expected in 2025, we're expecting to see, based on the number of applications coming in, over 200 applications next year. And what we do is we go out to high schools. I go out and I speak to principals, and we try to find young women that are matches for that program. And there's such a need for it in the community. One thing that's different about this program is that nobody is doing the curriculum we're doing besides Girls State. And Girls State does a great job, but it's a $1,200 to $2,000 program. Our program costs these young women $0. They just need a ride to Nichols. We house them, we feed them, we take care of everything else. So for young women that may not be able to afford that $1,200, this is a huge life-changing event. They're getting to spend time at a university. They're spending time with young women that are similar to them for the first time in their lives. A lot of these young women are very driven, and they might not be finding that in these high schools. They're meeting their people and they're meeting their mentors there. And we have a 98% rate of young women that when we survey them at the end, they want to come back. A lot of that, when you see LGLA participants that have participated before, it's because our rate of seniors that get into the program is so high because we're only able to take so many. A lot of times those young women are upperclassmen by the time they actually get into the program. And we're really proud of it because we have no barriers and that we're able to create this and give this resource to young women in our community. So we are asking Terrebonne Parish, the cost for each participant is $641. And I know that sounds like a lot of money, but that's because of housing, meals, and the participant fee that we pay the university per day. It's called a camper fee, basically. And then in addition to that, you're paying public speakers to come in and those kind of things. So when that cost breaks down per participant, it is $641 for each young woman. So it is a high number. So that is why we have been hitting the road and trying to allow. I cannot tell you, we've already admitted 60 young women for this year. 3% of those are from Terrebonne Parish. And we are doing our best to admit more. I'm getting phone calls by the hour from parents asking and young women following up to see if they will be admitted into this year's program. So we have quite the waiting list. And we're really proud of that. So we'd like to introduce ourselves and see if possibly one day soon we might be interested And forming a partnership, we do have a partnership with Lafourche Parish. They are one of our funders. And also Jefferson and Orleans have also made a difference in our budgetary concerns. A lot of what those parishes do is they ask that first preference be given to women that are in their area. And so then we give them those numbers. Are there any questions? I know I tend to speak really fast when I get excited as well.
Mr. Trosclair?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for commenting. I think this looks like a really, really good program. And you said you have, right at this point, you've got 60 applicants. Do y'all have a cap on that or?
We will keep giving out participants for as many sponsorships as we get in. We just got another one in for 200. As soon as we hit that 641, I admitted another young woman.
So as long as you got funding, you gonna
I
keep
keep,
putting them in?
yes. And what's interesting is we could call up a young woman in Terrebonne Parish and she would be next week and she'd be there the following week. The program kicks off June 9th. It's gotten to be very popular.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Chauvin?
Hi, I was one of those that went to Girls State as a young woman out of high school, and within high school as a senior. So I know how important it is to gather the young girls around and give them the confidence that they need to move forward. So you were saying, like in sponsoring somebody, then you would take someone out of that place that they're in. I would like to sponsor one.
Amazing. Yay.
think
Thank you
it's
so
that
much. I can
important.
reach out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And that was gonna be my question. So if people are out there watching this and they decide, hey, I want to sponsor somebody, they contact you, can we put this information out on our
Oh,
social media and
absolutely.
stuff?
You can. Um,
In the meantime, we can talk about what the parish may be able to do if we do a partnership. But I mean, for the immediate needs right now, June 9th is coming really fast. And looking at your speakers, I mean, you have some really good, powerful women out there. Rep Julie Stokes.
Oh, she's actually
she-
going to be our keynote. We're really
Right.
excited.
I'm looking at that. She's really, when you know her and you know what she's dealt with and how she's gotten to where she is, I mean, you have some really good people. Beth Billings, my wife's seatmate in the legislature, and Leslie Harris, and then of course Wendy and Christine. All of these are really excellent speakers. You put together a really good program. And I would like to see more of these young ladies from Terrebonne get in there.
And we'd also love to make connections with Terrebonne Parish, with civic leaders and business leaders to include them too in our program. We just haven't had that introduction yet.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Mr. Trusclair, you
I'm sorry.
double tap? Parish President Bergeron.
So do you have any girls that are applicants in from Terrebonne Parish not funded yet?
Correct. We have 12 currently unfunded.
Okay, so a couple things. One, they have women fueling our workforce. I know we have a program called Girls Who Code. So a couple opportunities to maybe partner. I definitely am also interested in sponsoring, so we'll connect. And I don't know if what we do with the parish, but me personally, I'll definitely sponsor one. And so that would be 10 left based on what my math was. And you go two? All right, I'm gonna go two. I'll go two. So I would challenge everybody in this room, everybody that's listening. We now have 8 girls that need to be funded. If y'all could help us make that happen, I think that'd be a great thing.
Thank you all so much. I will be in touch with everyone. I have Miss Tammy's information. Is that who I contact?
For the council, Ms. Tammy is the one that you would contact.
Perfect.
And y'all could just pass it on.
And I can give my information too in case anybody's watching. You can reach me by my cell. I'll give out my cell number, 337-212-6222. And my name is Kristen Anselmi. And you can also email me at my Nichols email address, which is kristen.anselmi@nichols.edu.
Tita's just said they're gonna do 2 also.
All right.
We have 6 left.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure that I'm sure that we'll get those numbers taken care of.
We are so excited. Thank you so much.
So thank you for coming and making us aware of that. Seeing a face that's part of a program always helps. And the competitiveness of this government, you can see. They'll get out there and do what needs to be done. But again, we appreciate you coming, and we'll see what we can do by getting the rest of these young ladies in there. Thank you, ma'am. Item C, presentation from Terrebonne Parish Community Social Worker Christy Howard, along with Dr. Eric Brooks, Ms. Kayla Guerrero, and Mr. Dominic Ordoin from the Louisiana Department of Health Region 3 office regarding the current state of the opioid crisis in Terrebonne Parish. Thank you all for being here tonight. And Ms. Howard, we'll start with you. Hang on just a second. Let us get your mic on. There you go.
Introduce myself, right?
Yes.
Christy Howard, 106 Wellington Drive. I'm not going to do the presenting. I just want to bring them before the council to just inform the public about, and the Terrebonne Parish citizens about the opioid crisis and who we're partnering with in order to make sure that our efforts against the opioid crisis are successful.
Dr. Brooks?
Yeah. Thank you. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Eric Brooks, Regional Medical Director for the Office of Public Health here in Region 3. I have a background in emergency medicine, so unfortunately I have a lot of frontline personal experience with this. I've been in this current role for just over 2 years. Looking at some of the data for Louisiana on drug overdose deaths, over the last decade, the nation's witnessed a dramatic increase in opioid-related deaths. According to the CDC, drug overdose deaths in Louisiana have, as you can see, nearly tripled during this time period. Given this surge is primarily driven by the spread of fentanyl and other synthetic opiates. Most recent data indicates there were an estimated greater than 100,000 deaths due to drug overdoses in the United States in 2023. Of these, more than 80,000 were linked to opioids. Of course, this represents a substantial increase from earlier years, as you can see. This just emphasizes the persistent and growing challenge that we face. Here's just another representation. In Louisiana, the trend mirrors the national crisis. As depicted in the map from the CDC, the number of drug overdose deaths in our state has increased significantly over the past several years. On the left from 2003, on the right to 2021, the state experienced a steady rise in overdose deaths, peaking around mid-2021. We have seen a slight decrease since then, but the numbers remain distressingly high. Again, emphasizing the need for sustained and effective intervention. Kind of coming down to more local data. Unfortunately, Terrebonne stands out with an age-adjusted overdose death rate of 68.64 per 100,000 residents in 2022, significantly higher than the state average of around 52. Underscores again the urgent need for targeted interventions in our community here to address the crisis. There we go. Taking a little bit closer look at Region 3, you can see Terrebonne stands out with an age-adjusted overdose death rate of 68.64 per 100,000 residents in 2022, significantly higher than its neighboring parishes, not just the state, but the neighboring parishes, averaging about 45.7 per 100,000 residents when you exclude Terrebonne. So there's a few things that we can concentrate on doing. The opioid crisis is multifaceted. It involves both prescription medications and illicit drugs. Efforts to address the epidemic must be comprehensive and collaborative. Nobody can do this alone. There are some key strategies highlighted here we're considering to tackle this issue effectively. enhanced data collection and surveillance, community awareness and education, access to treatment and recovery services, support to first responders, and law enforcement. Our goal is to build a resilient and informed community capable of addressing and overcoming the opioid crisis. This requires the cooperation and commitment of everyone, from healthcare providers and public health officials to community leaders like yourself and residents. Before I hand it off to Dominic, our opioid prevention coordinator, I do want to mention in public health, opioids and drugs are just one of the things that we address. We do community outreach, education, provide services for multiple areas of concern. Those being STIs, mental health, vaping, dental hygiene, heart health, blood pressure screening, diabetes education, cancer awareness and screenings, personal hygiene, maturity health and hygiene, nutritional education, hand hygiene, and many more. If you'd ever like us to come back and talk about any of these programs or initiatives, we're more than happy to come back and focus on that. And so I'll hand it off to Mr. Dominic Ardon. He's our Region 3 Overdose Prevention Coordinator. He'll speak in a little bit more detail about some of the data and current efforts.
All right. Am I close enough? I gotta lean down. Okay, cool.
Nope, you can move it if you want.
Okay, I can stand up. Cool. Let's do this. Okay, cool. Awesome. So he also didn't introduce, but Ms. Kayla Guerrero back here, she kind of oversees me as a supervisor, really helps guide me in the right directions for not only our community, for everything involved with my position. So thanks to her drastically. But something I learned yesterday before I even get into this, I did a presentation for the Juvenile Justice Center, and it was shocking to find out just how many active users of meth they see that is under 18 years old. And so that's something that I just really wanted. It's not in here. I just did the presentation yesterday. It's in one of my PowerPoints. Just really wanted to mention that because it really took me by surprise. Meth is not an opioid. That is not falling into the opioid category, but it is a very strong and powerful psychostimulant that to find out that people that young are using really shocked me to just learn about. But if we get back onto the main point of focus, cool. The data. So when we look when we look into it, opioids are taking the community by hostage. When we look at seeing what the actual issues are, when I started this position, I knew some people at HPD and with the sheriff's office in Terrebonne. I grew up down the bayou in Berg, so I knew some people that I could contact to find some actual data points to have evidence. But what we would estimate, like, what would y'all estimate the actual data of what the police, what are the sheriffs, what is HPD responding to? It's actually something at 332 just in Terrebonne Parish alone. This is 191 by the sheriff's office, and this is 141 by HPD. This is up to October 4th. The data was from January 1st to October 4th of last year. This is data that is just specifically for Terrebonne. I, of course, have Lafourche's for Lafourche. Everything's separate. So when we look at what's going on in the community, and this is why it's really important to look at what happened in 2020, everyone had stressors. So if we look, my background's in psychology, by the way, I forgot to say that when he introduced me. When we look into what happened in 2020, a lot of stressors happen in families and kids. Whenever kids in particular are not in school or having social environments, it usually creates stimulation withdrawals where they need to have that neurostimulation. So it could create different kind of depressants and things, which, as the data actually shows, it spiked drastically going into 2021, and we're waiting to see what the actual data is going to show in 2026 because they go by every 5 years to see if it's actually going to go down. But with the introduction of fentanyl on the market and how strong and potent fentanyl actually is, being 50 times stronger than actual heroin, it's something very scary that's going around. So it's just something to look at. But when we look at what hit it one too many times. When we look at the effort of what the community, what we are doing at LDH or at the regional office to provide for Terrebonne, and this is just going for Terrebonne, we're looking at, we have Narcan in the health unit. So what Narcan is Noxolone. It's a nasal spray that's able to reverse the effects of the overdose, lasts 30 to 90 minutes. In these situations, they still have to go seek out medical emergency. 911 has to be called, paramedics, try getting them to the hospital because there is half-life of drugs. And depending on what they took, we don't know what's inside their system. They could go right back into an overdose state. So Narcan is able to be picked up at the health unit. I put it there. It's free. they could walk in and just ask for it, and it's going to be given to them, because we don't want to stop people who may need a certain service from having it. When we look into working with reentry programs, this is something that we do very big in Lafourche at the Day Reporting Center, where we have different people coming out of correctional institutes that we are helping side by side, supplying the families, supplying them with Narcan. We would love to be able to get into Terrebonne. That's one of the initiatives that we are trying to get into, is working with the correctional institutes in Terrebonne. We also have started doing actual presentations for the people who are incarcerated, because this is a mass group of people that are very targeted when they come out for overdoses, because your body gets used to using a certain substance after you use it for so long, so the dosage typically just keeps climbing higher. And if someone comes out and say it's been months, if not years, their body is not accustomed to what they're actually taking anymore, which could trigger an overdose state, even if they tried what they used to try. So that's one group that we are trying to get with and really try helping in Terrebonne Parish. When we look at, we train the staff of the Homeless Day Center. This is a new center that opened up. This is, I think it's on Magnolia Street, if I'm correct on the address. And we train their staff to be able to have Narcan. They help the homeless. They help, it's clean showers, laundry, just somewhere for them to stay through the day. Then we have, we partner with BHG, Dr. George Singularity. I think that's how you say his last name, Singularity. We supply them with hundreds of fentanyl test strips along with Narcan for the community, just for them to be able to grab, and for anyone that needs it. And that's per month. We're going through hundreds for them, because that's how big it is. A methadone and Suboxone clinic for people who may need it. We've have quarterly presentations. Like I said yesterday, I actually was at the Terrebonne Parish Juvenile Justice Complex, and then we provide to the school nurses. We've had 3 meetings to date, or I've had 3 meetings to date to work with the schools. And so we're working with the actual Terrebonne Parish school system to train their nurses. We train their staff, or we're trying to get into training their staff. And so now they have Narcan that's going to be provided through the schools in case of emergency of a child using it. Because at the end of the day, vaping is something also that is really big going around, and vapes are getting laced. So they started sending vapes to crime labs. This is something that one of the parishes we cover, they had an agent there that has explained to me that they send it to crime labs. When we go into the next steps, we have what we would personally like to try getting into more of Terrebonne. I already talked about getting into correctional institutes, but we also have training sheriff cadets. I was lucky enough that the entire state of Louisiana and Lafourche Parish met with me. So that's including Houma or Terrebonne all the way through northern Louisiana. And I trained their next future cadets before they graduated at the academy on opioids, on opioid knowledge, drugs, and on Narcan and how to administer it. So I would love to be able to start training them monthly, because how regulation is on their birthday. That's whenever they're due for their annual training, the sheriffs. So I train with Captain Johnson and Lafourche. Every single month, I train the cadets that need their annual training for administration. With the schools, we've met with the schools, as I said, 3 times, and we are really hoping to be able to do presentations for students just to bring awareness of opioids, different kinds of issues that the society we're facing is. And in Terrebonne Parish, we the range of things that we conduct, it's in the footnotes of one of the pages for y'all. But and the range, oh, my paper's stuck. I cannot get this to save my life. So in Terrebonne Parish, the impact that the fentanyl is having on the youth in any parish is severe, and we're really trying, because at the end of the day, we don't want to see our youth get addicted to something that in 1 use you're already hooked, and at 2 uses you already have an addiction. So we're really trying to make sure this doesn't become a problem with our youth in particular, like the rest of the nation is actually facing with this struggle today. But thank you for your time. If you have any questions, that's my contact information too. Thank you.
Mr. Trosclair?
Yes, 2 things. Can you put the last screen back up?
Oh, my contact or this one?
That one. Okay, my first question is, Dr. Brooks, in his opening statement, talked about the trend. He said actually opioid deaths have declined slightly, but how does that correlate to the amount of Narcan at doses administered? So are we giving more Narcan and preventing the deaths? Then showing a decline don't necessarily mean we actually have a decline in the opioid overdoses.
It's a possibility. I don't have data to actually represent that. But it certainly is a possibility that the data may be skewed and show that we do have
don't-
increasing,
that-
still have
that-
increasing numbers of abuse and
There's less
dependence.
people are dying.
As less people are dying. You
Yeah.
wanna?
So I didn't mention this because I'm kind of scatterbrained, so I just like talking. So for Region 3 in 1 year, it's actually on one of the footnotes in one of the PowerPoint slides. It's a massive combination of what was offered, but we've handed out nearly over 1,000 different Narcan kits, which come with 2 doses, to Terrebonne Parish. This is including everything to companies, to organizations, to events. So we've had over 400 to just community related events, but we've had over 1,000 just in general to everyone, like I mentioned with BHG, or supplying to the juvenile justice system, or supplying to the school and things like that. It's just so if to go into what he said, I kind of didn't add that, but we've had over 1,000 kits that just in Terrebonne in 1 year that was given out, and that's not counting what the police or the ambulance fire that gets from South
So we
Central.
could have possibly had 1,000 more deaths.
It could have been. We don't know the exact data on that.
Okay, my next question is regarding this slide point presentation. The third sentence says the Office of Public Health is providing opioid education to schools across every parish in Region 3 except Terrebonne. Can you explain that to me?
Yes. So right now we have met with the superintendents of Terrebonne Parish trying to get into Terrebonne for presentations. That was actually one of my first things I did because I am a local and I went to high school at South Terrebonne. And so I knew what went around. I'm 27, so I knew what went around in the area. So that was one of the first moves that I really focused on. But reluctantly, we're still trying to get in. But with Lafourche, with we in Assumption Parish, we went to Assumption High School. Dare asked me and one of our both of our health disparities team, Jennifer and Jasmine. They asked us to come for Dare, and we did a presentation on vaping and lacing and different things like that for Dare and Assumption and St. James, St. John's. Yet again, our health disparities team is amazing at communication, and so they have so many sources which they get into the schools easily with what they do, and then they bring me along. So prayers to them for that. But what we do is we go in and do opioid-related information for the schools, along with vaping and lacing of the vapes for most schools that we have hit. The only one that we have not been accessed into is Terrebonne so far.
And naturally, we 2 different government entities,
Yeah.
so we don't have any control over that. But is it us or you guys not being in Terrebonne Parish school systems? Is that through resistance or what's the reason?
I think it's not for a lack of want. I think there are some concerns. I don't want to speak for the school board, but I think there's maybe some concerns on the response from the parents. I do foresee us in the future gaining access to the schools and being able to present. We've, like Dominic said, we've had multiple meetings with them, and I think we're moving towards that. I would expect that we would be able to outreach to the schools in Terrebonne this coming school year.
I would hope so. And my next question is not necessarily for you guys, but for probably our legal department. Several years ago, Terrebonne Parish entered into a class action suit against the opioid manufacturers, along with several other parishes. Do we have any kind of update on what's the status of that?
Yes, sir. So there was a settlement in that matter. I'm not the attorney that represented the parish in that, but I think we are seeing funds starting to roll in for that. The first payment came in just recently, I want to say.
Okay, and we are directing it directly towards.
The
opioid
funds for the
programs.
opioids settlement has to be directed towards programs to try to eliminate or facilitate opioid anti-use campaigns or whatnot.
Okay, I would request that whenever we do make some of these expenditures and what directions they're going in, that the council be advised of it, and so we know exactly that, what kind of programs we're pushing. I think, we need to do that. It could be,
Ms.
offering
Malden?
more training sessions or seminars type deals.
Ms. Malden, you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. So we've received very late in 2023, we received the first settlement. I don't remember numbers, but about 600,000. And I believe in early 2024, we received about 200,000. That did come to the council as a budget amendment to be added to the police department, city of police. Now, the sheriff's office got a separate settlement themselves. So we got it because of HPD. So we put it towards the city police, where we were able to purchase some equipment as well as pay for some of their overtime, which allows them to go out and patrol and all that. We do suspect that we're going to have some more settlement money coming in. So at that point in time, I think we could reach out to these other programs and fund it that way. But it will always have to come to the council.
And I apologize, my old age, you got to tell me, I remember it.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Trustclair. Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, I guess I had a couple questions about the data. So is Terrebonne Parish numbers elevated because of, like, are we doing a really good job of data collection? Or is it because of the population demographics? Or is it because we have access to opioids more than any other parish? Can you?
I'm going to let Dominic kind of jump in on this a little bit, but the data that I showed in the first few slides, I purposely pulled drug overdose, if you notice that, and not opiate overdose, because a lot of what's being reported is polysubstance. Like Dominic mentioned, methamphetamines. If you've got methamphetamines in your system and an opiate in your system and you die of an overdose, it's polysubstance. It may be underreported as far as an opiate-related death. It takes extremely high quantities, overdoses in the ER due to other drugs, such as methamphetamines do occur, but they're exceedingly rare when compared to opiate overdoses. So that's why I purposely pulled that data to help show the true picture. But to answer your question a little bit, yeah, there is some underreporting. I'll let Dominic kind of talk about it a little bit more too.
So to mention on what you just asked on the underreporting, so when making PowerPoint slides or making information to go present, we typically go through the CDC and things like that. So with the CDC slides, we present it all nicely. So when like I said, I got here and I asked, it was two different people and I got the data numbers, which was 141 and 191. And that was by October 4th. That I don't know how many deaths of that, of course. It was just how many overdoses they responded to. But at the exact moment, whenever I go and do trainings for the FUSH or even in Terrebonne, I talk to people, they mention how many times they're getting called a night or how many responses they're getting a week. And in these situations, the data right now, like Dr. Brooks mentioned, is polysubstance, and it's weed, like marijuana, cocaine, different things like this. The overdoses of that is so rare because of how much you would actually have to do. So like bananas, how many bananas you have to eat to die of potassium. So it's one of those severe situations. So it's being laced and getting reported as polysubstance. That's something me and Dr. Brooks would like to talk about one day with the coroner's office, is exactly how it's getting reported, what is getting shown, so we could get more accurate reading to actually show the parish exactly what the actual data is on fentanyl. But to answer you is how it's getting reported. And it goes into blood levels and things like that, but it is how it's getting reported. He mentioned hospitals because just in hospitals readings. So something that just to mention is something called the Bridge Program, and that's what we are giving. So Miss Joy, she's kind of in head of the place, or she contacted me. So we supply them Narcan. So now people even who are going into the hospital who may have overdoses or situations that they are being identified as are going to leave with Narcan to try to keep them safe as soon as possible. The Bridge Program goes into a whole long spill, but even to go into just the hospitals who lived overdose experience are now coming and leaving with something that could maybe save their life, or maybe their family could save their life. So
I guess what my question is, like, so our numbers are higher than the rest of the region, and we're probably underreporting. That's the part that's scary to me.
yes, so one of the parishes that we cover, I was at one of these LEPC meetings, one of these big fancy meetings, and I was told that they had a 3-pound fentanyl drug bust. in one of these parishes. I won't say where, and this is one of the smaller parishes compared to it was not Terrebonne. And so just think what's actually going through Terrebonne, or Terrebonne being a bigger parish, more population, what could actually be happening in Terrebonne. And yet again, that 3 pounds was just what was seen and found at this situation. It's not what actually is going under the radar. So to answer your question, it could be, it could not be, it could be perfectly reported. But as far as the data is concerned, it's polysubstance. It's not going into what just specifically opioids, sir.
And the other parishes are reporting using the same metrics, and so their data is going to be a little bit skewed also. So it's really kind of look at it as proportionally.
Yes.
Ms. Chauvin?
So my question would be, do you train those that pick up the Narcan at the health unit?
Yes. So this morning, actually, another huge presentation I had to do before this. So, this one was stressful. That one was stressful. I trained the entire health unit staff. So we have, I think it's seven health units in the region 3. And this is the entire region, not just Homa. But we train the entire staff, the clerical staff, the nurses, everyone on site. They have protocols that they have to follow. Typically in situations, say if you came in to say you need Narcan, they typically get a nurse on scene to be able to actually, there's a full pamphlet, full questionnaire kind of thing to track and make sure they're okay, to guide them. There's goodie bags that will be made, or I'm making and bringing to all the health units, that will have 3 different pamphlets that explain opioids, that explains what's going on, how to use the Narcan. It guides all the way. So yes, we do trainings. I will now, for their annual and for their training, I will be going to the health units personally and go make sure they're filling out the paper, show them on hand how to use it, and on hand demonstrations, any questions to be asked and answered. So yes, we do training to not only the nurses, the clerical staff, but everybody that's involved in the health units.
Okay, so that's those who are involved in the health unit. I'm talking about the people picking it up.
Yes, so they train after that, they train the people that are picking it up. So they typically get the nurse, or if the nurse is not present, the clerical staff will have the knowledge to be able to tell them exactly what to do, how to do. We are in the works of making a resource list that will be provided in the bags for if they are using or maybe need it, they can know all the resources in the parish that could be able to help them.
Okay, so do you attend any, like the addiction recovery centers or ministries that you can go there with this also?
So slowly, yes.
Okay.
I did start in September, so slowly, yes. We have 7 parishes that we do cover, so it's going through all 7 of them. But yes, so like working with BHG, the efforts with BHG is amazing. But they are a methadone and Suboxone clinic, so it's not like a kind of like you go into the center. But we attended the summit. That's where I met Ryan, and I met our parish president there. And they had a lot of helpful people at the summit that was held at Fletcher, where it went over recovery centers. It was faith-based all the way to not faith-based. So it was a wide array. And so that's where we're really working on that resource list that's going to cover all of it and working with them side by side. Yes.
Okay, so as you said, this is only on opioids. What's the plan for these young kids with meth? Is there any plan?
So I am the opioid
Right.
coordinator. In my presentations, in my trainings, in my all my knowledge,
Yes.
I cover it. It's actually in slides where I do cover it and break down what are the effects of meth, what does it do to your body, how does it do for your body. At the end of the day, resources will be provided to them. We have social worker Jasmine Alexandra as a regional social worker for the region, and for the parish we have Miss Christy Howard right here, and they will be able to provide further help in those situations for the people who may be on meth or may be using and need that kind of help. So yes, I do cover it. I do educate. Same thing with marijuana and cocaine, which are not actually, opioids, but they still do be talked about. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you have that type of information, I would love to get it out to within my district.
Okay.
Right there. I think that it's important to get it out.
Okay, so then we
If we
could
have that many that are in Terrebonne that are going through this. So.
Okay. So yeah, we could collaborate on that. Like I said, the meth thing shocked me to my core, that it was kids in particular. But yes, we could definitely collaborate on it, and any kind of help would be wonderful for Terrebonne. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And kind of expound on training public on Narcan use and opiates. Over the last 12 months, it was in a footnote on one of the slides, we've gone to over 30 events. We've organized or participated in over 30 events in the community in Terrebonne. We're always looking for new ideas. So if anybody has any ideas or would like us to reach out to a specific group, we'd love to organize an event and provide education to any group that's willing to listen.
Okay, so they have a new faith-based one that's about to start at Bayou Blue Assembly. They're not starting until June 25th, but that's what they're going after, drug addiction, and helping those to become, to help them at least along the way and other needs that they may have. So I would like to see you guys, connect on that part of it, to maybe get there and do some training too.
You got the slides from this, right? Is everyone given the slides from these presentations and PowerPoints?
Okay.
Okay. My contact info is in there. Same thing as business card, or I could,
There you
yeah,
go.
right there. So we could be in contact, and absolutely, I would love to be able to help however I can in that situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Several points that I want to make are suggestions as well too. But Miss Christie is a jewel that we have here for the parish, specifically working under, working with you guys. However, I understand you guys are more Louisiana Department of Health Region 3, but my biggest concern is Terrebonne Parish. Not to be biased, but that's just the way it is. And also, if you look at your slides, the ones that you had up, specifically the maroon one, I think it was, that kind of gave right there. If you look at Terrebonne Parish, we're one of the darkest red, maroon, whatever color you want to call it, there. But I would say Terrebonne Parish is one of the most unique parishes when it comes to addressing mental health opioid issues, I would say. And the way we're unique, we have our own millage for that. But where the red is there. So that tells me something's not happening. We're missing it a little bit. And so I did a little research before all this, and I've been working on it for quite some time. And it's ironic because I just had a meeting on this week with Mr. Ryan Page about this. So you can be expecting a meeting with me, myself, and some other folks that we're teaming up to try and address this problem. Because in my community, it's really, really bad. Not only opioid with drug abuse, but also a mental health issue that we're trying to address as well. But also something that I find is the fact that we are, and correct me if I'm wrong, by you guys being Region 3, you're looking out for various parishes or various municipalities. But that's going to kind of skew our numbers because we're a specific Terrebonne Parish. I'd like to see more numbers just for Terrebonne Parish so we can address that better and we can put our funds to better use too as well and appropriate those funds accordingly. And also, in the identification, sort of what leaning on what Mr. Champagne was saying, making sure the numbers aren't skewed or anything like that. First thing we have to do to get accurate data would be the identification of, let's say, if it was an opioid death versus some other sort of a death, that should start with the coroner's office. And in my discussions, I found that our coroner is not a part of this big circle or where we need to be at the table, the proper people to be at the table. I feel the coroner would be very intricate or would be very helpful in being able to ensure that when he's identifying, that he's identifying properly. Because I know a lot of times if, in research, if it's not identified correctly, of course your data numbers are going to be skewed. So I spoke with Ryan about that, and our coroner is going to be heavily involved in this too, because now we have a coroner that's a doctor, so that's great for us, and he can be able to help us just a little bit more. And also, I'd also like to make a suggestion that not only when we get in funds or things like that with settlements, that we start to focus, and this is for administration, to kind of funnel some of those funds to our coroner as well to kind of bring them up to speed because they're still on Windows 7 operating systems. So, and I've already talked to Robbie about that, and he's going to start working with those guys. But that if we can, the police department, sheriff department, coroner, all that should play into this working hand in hand with you guys. And I would suggest that if we can have Miss Christie kind of work with him to kind of bring all of us, all of this together with you guys, because you guys are more specific Region 3, I understand, but we have our own sort of LDH right here by way of the health unit with our millage and things like that. So that's what sets us apart, and that's my biggest concern. Our numbers are the worst, but we have the most resources, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100% on everything. And unfortunately, it identified as one of the key goals is to improve data. And Dominic is working on that. And I'll let him speak to it a little bit more. As you can see, the data here, the latest we have is from 2021. I've been in this position for 2 years. All the work that we've done over the last couple of years doesn't show up here. So the impact that our efforts are having is significantly delayed at this point. So it's really hard to tell if our efforts, as they exist today, are having the impact we'd like. And it's going to take some time to get to see that. As far as meeting with the coroner, I would love to. Actually talked to Ryan on the phone the other day about exactly that. Waiting on a date. He said he was going to set it up, and we're more than happy. That was actually on our list of things to try to get together and organize before I spoke to him about it. So I'm glad we can collaborate on that.
Absolutely. And go ahead.
He kind of covered everything in that sense because we are trying to get the data, and Terrebonne is unique in that sense, and so that's why we really focus. So, like I said, I grew up in Berg, so I'm from down one of the bayous, but so that's trying to focus on the different disparities, and that's where the disparities really come from. Christy really did amazing with this walk she did for mental health awareness. That really didn't cover with the opioids in particular, but that was full mental health, and so it was, from my understanding, focused on the entire disparities from calls that came in. And so it's really focusing on the disparities of different, so y'all are all different districts, so like where the disparities are in those districts, and that may be where we could really look forward to working and helping in those sense, because like you said, Terrebonne's unique. It has its own culture really in the state, and so it's really just finding where those disparities are, and that's just going really into the Terrebonne is unique part. The coroner's office, he kind of answered everything flawlessly.
Absolutely. And I do appreciate all that, myself and my colleagues as well, we appreciate all that you guys do. A couple more, another point that I want to make, we, as councilmen and councilwomen, what I find is we have to sort of, we expect everybody to be okay, but sometimes we have to go out to the people. And anytime there's an event or something like that in my community, we have one coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's a sponsored event with a nonprofit, and then they have a big sort of East Side Day, if you want to call it. I decided to not only take part and sponsor that event, but also have the parish partner or Miss Christie come out, and for her to get sponsors, AmeriHealth and all other different organizations, vendors that can come out and share in the opioid, the mental health aspect of everything. So this is just a little note for other council members. If you have big events or something going on in your neighborhood or in your district, it's okay to get the word out. And that'll lead me into my final point of the school board. You're not in the school board, but that doesn't mean we can't get the kids out of school and be able to, attract them as a parish as a whole.
Yes, that was one of the ideas whenever we were present. I won't say any names, but that was one of the ideas they suggested, and we were never able to organize into the sense because where it comes into is still trying to reach out to the kids. So we can't really get like we didn't discuss it, but trying to get flyers to the kids or flyers to that. Like I held a opioid survivor event over here at the main branch library, which was for survivors, and it was dealing with anything opioid related, free food, like breakfast food for people to come in and just watch. And we made sure it was during the week off of school during April 4th in particular. So they were out of school for Easter. And sadly, we had no kids show up. We had more adults and people who actually were past users and things like that. But it's trying to reach out in those unique ways if we can't, but get them outside of school. And so that I do completely agree with your idea, like maybe recreation centers, going to places like that. But yes, sir.
And one last thing, if you guys up here, if you didn't know, call Christy. She's going to make it happen for you. Opioid, mental health, all that, she can help you and she'll steer you in the right direction for sure. Thanks.
President Bergeron?
Yeah, a few comments. One, going back to funding, we have had conversations with both drug court and family preservation court about funding coming in and what we have opportunities to do there moving forward. We did meet with the coroner today, and one of the conversations we had was about marketing what they do and how they can help with the opioid crisis, with mental health crisis. And so we're going to work with them to address many of their needs they have and also spread the word for what they can do for our area. And I was also going to mention the the behavioral health summit that we just attended. We had about 5 or 6 people from the parish, and I know Kevin, I don't know if anybody else was there, but this is definitely an important issue to us. We know that the issues we deal with crime and with everything that we're fighting now, we know starts with mental health and addiction. And so we're definitely committed to make sure we put resources forth to get this addressed as fast as we can and try to save every life that we can. We've distributed Narcan within the parish and showed our people how to use it. On the school board, I've reached out. My wife works in the school district, so I've reached out to her and somebody else to make sure that the message is heard of they're trying to connect and do this. And so we're going to try to help push that forward. And outside of that, I'm drawing a blank on the last thing I wanted to say. But it's definitely important that we definitely address this. And the other thing I was going to say is, if you guys have not reached out to the Terrebonne diocese, there's a school system outside of the Terrebonne Parish School District that probably also needs the same information. So I just want to recommend that you reach out to that group.
Again, thank you guys for coming, presenting. Ms. Howard does a fantastic job. She represents really well. And we look forward to seeing some Terrebonne specific numbers, like Mr. Pledger was saying, so then we can really focus a little bit better on that. Dr. Brooks, Mr. Ardon, Ms. Guerrero, and of course, Christie, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a motion to go into 6:30 public hearings by Mr. Harding, a second by Mr. Pledger. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item A, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential, lots 8 and 1-8, Block 1, Catherine Subdivision, 8938 Norman Street, Homa, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Daniel Turner, applicant. Call for public once. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. We have a motion to close by Mr. Harding. Second by Mr. Trusclair. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Harding. Second, Mr. Trusclair. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item B, an ordinance to appropriate funds relative to and adopt the operating and capital budgets for the Terrebonne Council on Aging, Inc. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. We have a motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second was Mr. Champagne. Mr. Trosclair.
Yes, quick question, Candace. On the first item, the ad valorem taxes, that we showing like a 1.2 million increase from 7,300,000 to 8,500,000 from 24 to 25. Are we expecting that kind of increase in? I thought our sales taxes were down.
So the increase that you're seeing is what we're going to take from the collections that we have had over the several years of that elderly and disabled millage. So no, we are not collecting 8.5 million in the millage this year, but we have that within that fund balance, within that elderly and millage fund that allows us to put it to them.
That's where my second question was going. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Trosclair. Ms. Malden. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Public motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, zero nays, motion is adopted. Item C, an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and five-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Number one, Solid Waste Department, $14,698. Two, Upper Large Levy credit of $196,000. Three, Government Tower Generator Program credit of $25,129. Item four, Civic Center, $15,893. Five, Home Police Department LCLC grant, $75,933. Six, Homa Police Department LCLE grant, $118,439. Seven, General Fund Office of Emergency Preparedness 2024 Cities Readiness Initiative, $23,839. Eight, East Homa East Park Walking Trails, a credit of $29,463. Nine, Civic Center Boulevard at Valhai Boulevard Roundabout, $46,348. 10, General Fund Government Tower Chillers, $121,267. 11, Parish Prisoners Fund Chillers, $135,679. And 12, Rotary Plaza, $12,500. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. We have a motion to close by Mr. Chompon, second by Mr. Pleasure. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. The motion is adopted. Item D, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute on behalf of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, TPCG, a lease of commercial space between TPCG and Hub International Midwest Limited to lease space in the TPCG-owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Harding. Second, Mr. Trosclair. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item E, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of property, sites, and/or servitudes required for the Bayou Corp Pump Station Phase C Improvement Project, Parish Project Number 21-DRA-11. Authorize the parish president to execute any and all documents necessary to acquire sites, property, and/or servitudes for the said purposes. To authorize the parish legal staff to commence expropriation proceedings in the event the sites, property, and/or servitudes cannot be obtained conventionally. To declare that the taking, if required, is necessary and useful for the benefit of the public and to provide for other matters relative thereto. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. Motion is adopted 9-0. Item F, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Houma Restoration District to grant a right of access, use, ingress, and egress of the TPCG-owned Bayou Terrebonne Boardwalk in favor of the district for the purpose of installing and maintaining lighting. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Who was that? Motion to close, Mr. Babin.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item G, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Home Restoration District to grant a right of access, use, ingress, and egress of the TPCG-owned bridges and walkways near Bayou Terrebonne in favor of the district for the purpose of cleaning, resurfacing, and repainting guardrails. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machines.
It was 9-0.
9-0, motion is adopted. Item H, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to enter into an amended number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement and lease with Recreation District Number 11 to remove Shady Oaks Park from the agreement and return care, custody, and control of Shady Oaks Park to Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, and to ratify the original intergovernmental agreement and lease. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item I, an ordinance to amend the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances so as to set the maximum number of allowable floats to 45 for each organization during parades and to address other matters relative thereto. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item J, an ordinance to amend the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to clarify the intent and applicability of those authorized to use the official seal and to delete redundant statements. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. I have a motion by Mr. Harding to go back into regular order. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 2, public wishing to address the council. A, as per speaker cards in accordance with section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or questions and answers on non-agenda items. Our first speaker card tonight is going to be Mr. Barry Domingue. Mr. Domingue, if you can come up to the podium, and when you see the green light, please give us your name and address for the record. If you look at the mic, it'll turn green. There you go.
Barry Domain, 219 Hidalgo Drive, Houma, Louisiana. I had a complaint about I want to make a complaint about a camper next to my house. It's in a subdivision at Fairfield. He just moved in, and he's setting up a home, and it ain't supposed. It's got restrictions on it. Ain't supposed to have a camp in the neighborhood, and a trailer, and he's set up, living there with no water. He got electricity, but I just want to see what I could do about it by getting him removed. Because I don't know who else to talk to. I talked to the planning and boarding and zoning and courthouse, and they keep giving me the runaround. I don't know who to talk to no more. And they got another one across the street from my house at 218. Well, I'm sorry. 218 is a camper one in Washington Street. And 216 got livestock in their backyard. And the back the street on the parish property, they got a camper also in the woods trashing. So I just want to see what I can do about that.
Mr. Pulaski, since he reached out to some things, you have a direction on who he should speak to?
Well, I'll definitely get his contact information and get a hold of him. I mean, for a minute there, it also sounded like there might be subdivision covenants that may have some restrictions. But we'll certainly check into that. And then also with regards to the camper in the woods, I mean, that might be something for nuisance abatement to tackle.
All right, so Mr. Domingue, Mr. Pulaski is going to get you information, but Mr. Pledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What was the address? Where the-
218 Washington Street. He moved next door to me. It's in my backyard, like right next to me.
Mhm.
And he
So
just,
that's the cross street, right?
it's on the back street. Mine goes from one side to the other side.
Okay.
He bought a half a lot.
Okay.
And he's setting up a residence. And then he put in for a permit for recreational, but it's not. He's living there, and he don't have no water.
Okay.
And I don't know if sewage is going on the ground. I don't know what's going on. But someone's supposed to go look at it from zoning, but they got restrictions. He ain't supposed to have a camp in the neighborhood living in, or a trailer.
Gotcha. Yeah, because on, I think it's 200 Donald Drive, right on the other side, there's where they had all the cars at one time.
Right.
Now they've put a shed there, so,
Right, and that's
okay.
what Miss Emma, I
That's what
talked to
she
her
was
today, and
about,
she's-
right,
yeah.
right, okay. All right, easy enough to do, appreciate it, and I think Miss Emma said that she was gonna give you my number or something like that, but I'll be in touch with you.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Domingue. Our next speaker is Ms. Emma Daggs. She just left? Okay. Our next speaker, Ms. Paula Rome and Ms. Daisy Shermy, TCU Food Bank. Ms. Paula, just please state your name and address for the record.
Thank y'all. Paula Rome, TCU Food Bank address, 922 Sunset Avenue, Houma, Louisiana. Can y'all put my PowerPoint on? I'm happy to be in front of y'all tonight, not under my usual capacity, it's under my volunteer capacity. I wanted to come out here tonight to introduce our new TCU Executive Director, Ms. Daisy Shermy. Daisy has officially taken over this week as our Executive Director for the food bank. So Daisy and I are here tonight to give y'all some statistics on the food bank and where we stand now. So the food bank, as you can see, the community needs for the food bank has increased tremendously since 2018. In 2018, we served about 9,000 individuals with the food bank. And this last year in 2023, we're now serving over 30,000 individuals at the food bank. And this, we contribute this to COVID and Ida and the needs in our community. In 2020, that number went from 9,000 in 2018 to 20,000. And then just from 2020 to 2021, that increased another 6,000. And then now we're at 2023 to over 30,000. So in just a matter of 6 years, the needs of the food bank have gone up 3 times the amount that it was in 2018. Our statistics for the food bank break it down by elderly, adults, and children. So this slide here will show you the increase of the children, the elderly, and the adults that we have seen over time. And then we've recently been asked how much of the food bank resources go towards the parishes. And you can see here that 1% we consider goes to other, which I'm trying to figure out the details of that other. But assumption, Daisy says, sometimes we have assumption people that come into our area that have the needs. But you can see that 88% over the last 2 years is serving the needs of our residents in Terrebonne Parish. And we're serving about 11% into Lafourche Parish. So we have seen a big increase since COVID and Ida, directly to not just to the food needs, but to our overhead, obviously, for a lot of reasons. A lot of businesses and organizations around here are having overhead needs, and that's for insurances. on vehicles and buildings, flood insurance, cost of food, obviously, just inflation cost of things we have to buy these days have increased. The food bank itself just recently has put forth some cuts to cut back our budget and our expenses. We have done some recent personnel cuts that has cut our payroll in half for some overhead positions. We have also looking at operational cuts to the food bank, cutting back things like some lesser vehicles, cutting back cell phones, things like that to operational cuts without having to cut the people and the amount of food that we supply to the community, without having to cut anything that actually touches the needs of the community. So why are we here today? We're here today to let you as the council, as administration, and to the general public know that, we're here as a call to action. The needs of Terrebonne Parish, the food insecurity needs of our area has drastically increased. And, our donations have not increased with the needs of the community. And, we're asking the community, we're asking for the parish to help us figure out ways to increase those donations and help us figure out ways to keep the food bank being successful to better support the needs of our community. So you can see here at our food bank website, tcufoodbank.org, we have a very simple donations button. Anybody can go in there and donate financially to the food bank. We're always looking for volunteers to help stuff bags, work distribution lines and that kind of stuff. So there's an opportunity on the website to sign up to help volunteer. You can always reach out to Daisy, who's at the food bank every day. And we also would like to thank the parish president and administration for sitting down with us this week and listening to our needs and our concerns, and for you guys for having us tonight to listen to what our needs are. Any questions?
Ms. Chauvin?
So one of my questions is, I'm looking at the amount of elderly people that are now in service with TCU. And I really thought that was a council on aging job. So I'm just kind of wondering, maybe they should be donating too, to the cause or the food bank, since you guys are also servicing them.
And we discussed that briefly with the administration yesterday. It might be an avenue we would be looking into.
Okay.
Mr. Harding?
Yes, and this is not only just for me and my colleagues. There was a presentation in reference to opioids, and then we had COVID, and we had the hurricane, things like that. There's problems across the board. So I've actually been assisted by the food bank by actually going not just here, but then in places outside Terrebonne Parish, and do well there. So I think it's across the board that we have to come together and really look at the significance and the importance of what we have before us for the citizens of Terrebonne Parish. So I thank you guys for all the work that you've done. Hopefully Jamie's is still there. Jamie's still there. Yeah, I appreciate all the things that y'all done. Thank you.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, I definitely appreciate all the work that the food bank does, and it is getting increasingly harder to feed, the food insecure in this parish. I know this administration is in contact with y'all. Y'all have some things coming up in the future, but I personally, and as we spoke this afternoon when I was at the food bank, I would like to see this government budget in our budget whatever determination we can come up with in terms of dollars to the food bank. We give to a lot of things in this parish, and maybe if we help feed some people, they may not go into that opioid. They may not have another problem. So again, we're not in the budgetary process yet. There may be some things that this administration can do, but I'm just asking that when we do get to that, President Bergeron, if we can take a hard look at that and see if we can't guarantee the food bank that they know they have a specific amount of money from us that they can at least start on their overhead with. So thank you very much if we can.
President Bezral?
Yeah, so we met with the food bank a couple times, and I want to start off by commending them for some leadership changes that they've made. They are a little less alarming than probably what I'm going to sound, because when we start talking about funding from the parish, it's very important that we make sure when we work with entities and give them funding, that that funding is going to be used appropriately, and that we're going to that we understand the financial stance of or place of that organization. And so, just to full transparency, we've been having conversations, looking at financials. Brought in a auditor in to kind of just look at the state of the food bank, and they are a lot tighter, I guess would be the best word I could say, than what they're sharing. I look at this time that we need to save our food bank. I know there's other opportunities with other organizations coming into the area, but there are certain needs that the food bank addresses that we need to keep the food bank alive. And so we're kind of starting a Save TCU campaign. I know a lot of us in the parishes have already donated personally, and I'm reaching out to a lot of companies, having conversations about everything we can do. Again, they made some salary cuts, they made some operational cuts. They're still continuing to sell everything from vehicles to anything that we can do to help get their operational costs down with the increase of insurance. Like I said, everything else going on with inflation, but this is a high urgent need. And I just want to make sure that the community's hearing it. If you've historically given to the food bank and maybe haven't in a while, it's time to do that again. I've been reaching out to all of our delegation, seeing what we could do from a state perspective to get some funding in place. I definitely agree. We need to look at doing some things to fund the food bank from a parish perspective. But we do have an immediate need, especially with the upcoming hurricane season. So I am making a request and challenge that I don't care if it's $5, $10, $100, $2,500, anything you can do and give to the food bank. It is greatly needed at this time, and we're going to do everything we can to help them through this, and and again try to raise some funds to make sure that our residents, again, there's a lot of opportunity. They have food pretty much covered, and there's some opportunities there, but a lot of this is addressing operational costs and things that they do to operate and function every day.
Mr. Trosclair?
Yeah, I think President Bergeron may have answered part of my question. I was going to ask, where do y'all actually stand? Where does the food bank actually stand as far as products and availability, and to finish out this year or in the next several months? Or are y'all in dire need or desperate need, or are we just long range planning? What are we doing?
It's all of the above, Mr. Trosclair. So we are working right now, like President Bagenal said, we're working right now with an accountant that's helping us look at it, and we're working on being full transparent with you guys to give you a list of needs that we have for the next week, for the next month, for the next 3 months, the next year, and long-term planning. So we have somebody putting that together for us right
I think
now.
our administration has demonstrated that they're already satisfied with what they see happening, so that's a good thing. Mr. Babin mentioned, we're not in the budget process at this time, and we can look at next, at our next budget, but we do budget amendments here every week, you know? So, if that's something that, we can scrounge up something to help these guys out, I think, we need to do whatever we can. And I definitely would support a budget amendment to help these guys out. So if it's something that, Parish President Candace, I guess, got the purse strings, but if something Candace can come up with, you pull your magic hat out again. And, I definitely would support that. And, we definitely need to. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Ms. Chauvin?
So in terms of volunteers, and I know it's long-term money and different things like that, have you thought about reaching out to like coaches and church youth groups and clubs, to try and get that? And what is your age limit in volunteering?
So I almost want to say there is no age limit. If they can walk and put a can into a bag,
Okay.
they're good. If they're young, we do ask that anybody that's below teenage age does have a parent with them.
Okay.
But That is probably the only thing that has not been negatively affected by COVID and
Okay.
Ida. I take that back, by Ida. COVID, we definitely lost a lot of volunteers, not wanting to make contact and everything. But recently, our volunteer has definitely picked up. We do. We have church groups coming in. We have schools coming in. We have different organizations. We have businesses that send us volunteers. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still plenty to do. We still need
Right.
as many volunteers as we can get, but we do have people that come to us.
Okay. So monetarily, it's going to be super important
Yes.
that you need. So we need to work on while we're getting people to donate. I'll start calling in my own district and calling on businesses and see what we can do there, and then maybe some fundraisers to help you guys out, and get you up and running. Because my fear is another hurricane coming. You know, we're about to hit the June part, but you do way more and servicing a lot of different people in our area, and we know how important it is. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm in total agreement with Parish President and also with Mr. Steve Trustclair, but as Budget and Finance Chairman, like Mr. Trustclair said, we make budget amendments all the time. But I might upset some people by saying this, but, and I know we'll probably just have to get the wording right. But we have like an elderly, whatever we have out there that we might can help them out some kind of way. Just got to get the wording right. Thanks, guys.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, Steve, you're 100% right about the budget amendments. I know that the administration is in talks with them right now, and I think if they, in those conversations, if they can come up with money, then they would come to us for a budget amendment. What I meant was, from here going forward, we need to participate with the food bank every year with a budgetary item. So thank you very much.
President Bergeron.
Yeah, so, and part of this is we are looking at getting the CEA with the food bank. With that, having somebody from the parish administration serve on that board, and again, and helping any way we can. Right now, we're looking at immediate, short term, and long term, and so, and maybe even middle terms. Probably, by the time we go through a budget amendment, there's definitely some needs that need to be addressed sooner than that. We're also having conversations at both the state and federal level to help with some funding. And so we're going after everything that we can. And, I know the numbers, that I heard prior to this was around 36,000 served. And I think it's also important to say at this time that when you look at half of our population is either government pay or no pay on healthcare. And so that kind of just shares with you where we are and the need that's going to address. That's why I had them put together numbers on how many serving the elderly. Of those served, it's 20% of their needs. So I think it's great to have those conversations. And again, we had this meeting, I think it was yesterday, as a second meeting. And so as we get more into this and gather more information, that's why, I want to make sure it's an urgent plea to, if you've got some funding as a parish resident, we need this. Businesses, residents, you name it. If there's any way for anybody to assist right now, they're doing a tremendous job of making cuts, but we're going to need a few different things to happen to help save our food bank.
Mr. Voisin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Welcome to the food bank. Appreciate you stepping up and doing this. I was curious as to where does the majority of the funding come from? Is it from the private sector, the residents, businesses, charity groups?
The majority right now is grants.
Grants.
Like grants.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do we have a lot of businesses participating in this
We
at
have
all?
a handful, but to be perfectly honest, not as many as I'd like to see. Not as many as we had pre-COVID. I find that we have found that the economy that's affecting our clients increasing is also affected businesses and our private donors. Like donations have just not been what they were pre-COVID years, and we have been running hard and trying and keeping up with the need, and we're here today because it's not enough right now.
Understood. And, as far as goods being donated, any
That
businesses that do that with
yes.
dented, damaged type stuff, it's
Absolutely. We
still
have,
good?
yes, we've got a couple of businesses recently that started donating in that. We just had our postal drive. That will probably provide us a good 2 months worth of canned goods. We also partner with Convoy of Hope. That's where we get the majority of our food. So right now in this position, like we have food on the shelves, we have food to be able to give to people, but it's everything in between. It's those insurance costs, those monetary expenses.
Monetary. Understood. Thank y'all so much.
Mr. Hamner?
Yeah, Mrs. Rome, or, I'm sorry, I forgot your, Daisy. I belong to an organization, we do a once a year food drive slash collection. Is it still true that monetary donations go a lot further than actual food? And what's that ratio? Is it still like $5 to $7? That you can buy $5 to $7 more food with $1 than you can on a donation.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Okay,
At that, yeah, I think it was $7 the last time that I looked at it.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, ladies, for coming and presenting us and the parish with the needs that you're facing. And it sounds like there's a lot of things that are looking forward that are going to be good. And like our parish president says, in saving the food bank. So next time we see you, we hope to have a very positive presentation, and we look forward again to working with you and seeing what we can do as a parish to help you out as well. Not just with parish government, but with our connections out in the private sector. So again, thank you.
On behalf of the board, I want to thank y'all for giving us the opportunity to come here. Thank y'all for the discussions. The board does want to make sure that y'all all understand that we are open to sharing and collaborating and being fully transparent with whoever is willing to step up and, sit down and help us work through this. So thank y'all very much.
Ms. Chauvin?
Ms. Paula, I just wanted to ask you, are you going to put up the call to action donate part on your social media so that we can get it out?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
We'll share it on the TCU social media
Yes.
and our personal ones as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item 3, committee reports, Public Services Committee. Mr. Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee meeting held on May 28th, 2024, and I have 2 public hearings. Number 1, consider the introduction of an ordinance to authorize the acquisition of sites and/or servitudes of property belonging to Crescent Farm Plantation, LLC, authorizing the parish president to execute any and all documents necessary to acquire sites, property, and/or servitudes for the said purposes, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 12, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Number 2, consider the introduction of an ordinance naming the new Hollywood Road Extension Bridge the PTN Bush Memorial Bridge in honor of Houma Police Department Patrolman Austin S. Bush, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 12, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Have a motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item B, Budget and Finance Committee.
Make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on May 28, 2024, and I have 3 public hearings. Number 1, consider the introduction of an ordinance to declare as surplus adjudicated property located at 404 8th Street, in which the parish has 32.2916%, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 12, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Item number 2, consider the introduction of an ordinance declaring as surplus adjudicated property located at 708 Wilson Avenue, in which the parish has 56.8541%, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 12, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Item number 3, consider the introduction of an ordinance to declare as surplus 6 adjudicated properties in which the parish has 100%, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 12, 2024, at 6:30 p.m.
We have a motion by Mr. Pledger, a second by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, motion carries. Item C, Community Development and Planning Committee. Ms. Chauvin.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Community Development and Planning Committee held on May 28, 2024, and had 5 condemnation hearings. 1 resolution introducing an ordinance to add Connolly Park to the list of parks identified in section 21 through 30 and 21 through 31 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances, and call for a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, June 12, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Resolution 2, introducing an ordinance to amend certain portions of section 19 through 56 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances relative to parade reviewing stands, and calling for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 12, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Resolution 3, giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential, North Portion Lot 17, Block D, Mechanicville Subdivision 135A, King Street, Home of Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Ernest Davis, applicant, and calling a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Resolution 4, giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to R2 Two Family Residential, Lot 13, Block 1, Richard Subdivision, 2601 Payne Street, Homa, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Shanita Watkins, applicant, and calling a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Resolution number 5, giving notice of intent to adopt and enact a new section 28 through 82 and Article 4 of Chapter 28 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to recognize the Homer Restoration District, HRD, create an overlay district encompassing the HRD, to adopt and enact regulations for uses and for vacant commercial properties within a district, and calling a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m.
We have a motion by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Babin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item D, Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee. Mr. Hamner,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
hit your speaker.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Policy, Procedures, and Legal Committee held May 28, 2024. I have no public hearings.
We have a motion by Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Wazan. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item 4, street lights, installations, removals, and/or activations. No street lights were submitted as of the agenda deadline, so no action is necessary. 5A, Recreation District Number 3A Board, 2 expiring terms on 6/1/24 and 1 vacancy. Ms. Sherry Stadium expresses her interest in being reappointed. Ms. Gwendolyn Davis submits application for consideration. We have a motion by Mr. Trosclair, a second by Mr. Pledger. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 1 abstention.
I missed the vote.
That's all right. Item B, Recreation District Number 9, Board, 1 expiring term on 6/8/24. Mr. Trey Lottinger expresses his interest in being reappointed. We have a motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Mr. Hamler, you wanted to speak?
No, that was my
just
vote
beating up-
from
you
the
just beating
last
up your
one.
machine? All right, members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item C, Children and Youth Services Planning Board, 9 expired terms, each representing the following entities: Terrebonne Parish District Attorney, Department of Children and Family Services, Bayou Area Children Foundation, City Court, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Houma Police Department, Terrebonne Parish School Board, and the Office of the District Public Defender, 32nd Judicial Court. Ms. Victoria J. Como, representing the Terrebonne Parish District Attorney Office, submits application for consideration. Mr. Harding makes a motion, open, close, and appoint and hold the others. Second was Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. Eight yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item 6, staff reports. A, pursuant to sections 2-73, 2-98, and 4-3 of the Parish Code, Parish President Jason W. Bergeron requests ratification of his recommendation of Mr. Ivan Thompson as an Assistant Parish Attorney. Moved by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Pledger. Members, vote your machines. Yeah. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Mr. Thompson, if you'd please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, sir. And
Yes,
that
sir.
mic does move if you want to move it up a little bit.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. Ivan Thompson, 234 Evelyn Avenue, Houma, Louisiana. If I may, I'd like to first of all thank President Bergeron for the recommendation. I sincerely appreciate it. I'd next like to thank Parish Attorney, Ms. Neal, for giving me the opportunity. And each and every board member, thank y'all for giving me this opportunity. I'm sincerely appreciative and thankful. Mr. Pledger, Mr. Harden, I've been around y'all since I was younger. I never expected to be here speaking amongst y'all. Again, I want to tell y'all thank y'all, and I appreciate the opportunity that y'all giving me today. I'd like to acknowledge my family. They've been here with me all night. So again, thank y'all. Highly appreciative.
Mr. Babin, hang on, Mr. Thompson.
Congratulations, and I liked hearing the baby in the audience tonight, okay? That's a great thing.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Congratulations on the new baby. by the
Thank you. I sincerely appreciate it.
Mr. Pledger.
Also, I want to just make sure I let you know this now.
Yes, sir.
Spend as much time with that baby as you can, though.
I will. I will
All right.
do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Thompson, congratulations and good luck with this endeavor. I know you'll be able to do good things for our parish. We welcome you aboard.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Item 7, vacancies to various boards. And look, guys, I'm sorry that things went on real long. We had a lot of things to discuss. I commend your family for sticking with you throughout this long agenda. Vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. Recreation District Number 1 Board, 1 expiring term on 6/12/24. Recreation District Number 2-3 Board, 1 expiring term on 5/31/24. Recreation District Number 3A Board, 1 expiring term on 6/1/24. Sure thing. Mr. Charles Clay?
Quick question, Keith, on the 3A board, you got 1 expired term, 6/1. Is that one of the 2 that we just appointed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trosclair. Coteau Fire Protection District Board, 1 expired term. Children and Youth Services Board, 8 expired terms, each representing one of the following: Department of Children and Family Services, Bayou Area Children Foundation, City Court, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Houma Police Department, Terrebonne Parish School Board, and the Office of the District Public Defender, 32nd Judicial Court. Planning and Zoning Commission, 1 expired term. Applicant must reside in the city of Houma. Houma Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, 1 expired term representing a civic nonprofit organization has been pulled. Downtown Development Corporation, 3 expired terms, each representing following entities: 1 representing the Parish Council, 1 representing the Historical Society, and 1 representing Downtown Merchants. Municipal Civil Service Board, 1 expired term representing the council and 1 vacancy due to a resignation representing the council nominated by Nichols State University. South Central Human Services Authority, 1 expired term. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 1 expired term and 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Veterans Memorial District, 1 vacancy due to a resignation representing the parish president south of the Intercoastal, and 1 vacancy due to a resignation representing Leonard Hotard, Post 37. Consolidated Waterworks District Number 1 Board, 3 expiring terms on 6/24/24, 1 representing each of the following: District 1, District 2, and District 4. Coastal Zone Management and Coastal Restoration Advisory Committee, 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the public. Item 8, announcements. Mr. Parish President.
All right, yeah, so I'd like to share a few things going on, which I think by the time we get out, this first one will be over with. Rotary Club, Home of Terrebonne, is having a swinging tribute to the Rat Pack at the Municipal Auditorium until 8:30. Tomorrow from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. is a grand opening of the Residence Plantation at 8951 Park Avenue. Live after 5, Friday, May 31st at 7 p.m. at the bandstand. The Bayou Region Arts Council, the same night, is having a 3rd annual meet and greet from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Rotary Plaza. We have Market at the Marina, Saturday, June 1st, from 8 a.m. to 12 noon at the Marina. They have the Louisiana Farm Bureau Fishing Rodeo, June 5th and 6th at the Cocoa Marina. The Bubba Duh Fishing Rodeo, June 6th through 9th at Falgout Canal Marina. And the Marine Corps League's annual convention, I understand it's a statewide convention, June 7th and 8th at the Holiday Inn in Houma. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council members, Mr. Daniel Babin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, we've had some presentations tonight on a lot of things, and we can see where people can volunteer to help things out. If you don't like where some things are going, we have 24 vacancies on boards right now. 24 people need to step up to the plate and get involved in your government in one way, shape, or another. This is from planning commission to civil service boards to recreation boards and a myriad of others. So please get involved in your community and put your names up for these things. And this is only what we have right now. This will continue throughout the year as people get off the board. So I urge the people in the community, please get involved. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Chauvin.
Yes, I'd like to announce a new thing that's coming for June 25th, and it is a faith-based oriented called Redeemed Addiction Ministry by Jared and Nicole Gagliano. The program is going to start at Bayou Blue Assembly, June 25th at 6:30 p.m. They'll continue every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Look them up on Facebook if you have someone that needs that type of help. Their mission is to empower individuals by breaking free from addiction, discover their God-given purpose, and live transformed lives filled with grace, love, and redemption. And God knows in His parish, after the opioid part of it that we just went through, you can see that this is definitely needed. We need a lot more of them going on, and I pray that most of our Terrebonne Parish leaders and those living here will begin to pray for more of them to come to fruition so that we can help these people get help. Thank you.
Mr. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to also invite everybody out on June 8th, which is next weekend, to the New Zion Baptist Church's annual Gospel Fest. If you're into gospel music and you want to hear some good singing, come out there, Courthouse Square, and listen to it and enjoy yourselves. Thanks.
Mr. Wazan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to say, Auburn's Fishing Rodeo is going to be taking place. We have to get there through Bar Sally Road. Very, very dangerous road.
What?
I'm gonna go show you.
I travel that road all the time.
It's a very dangerous road, particularly when there's a lot of traffic, and there will be a lot of traffic for the Almonds. And keep in mind, folks, that people do a lot of fishing, cast netting, bring kids, crabbing on the side of the road. So please keep that in mind when you're traveling that road. If it takes you an extra 5, 10 minutes to get down there, get down there safely and keep everybody else that's partaking in our fishing industries and everything, keep them safe. And please remember boat safety. Thank y'all so much.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Charles Clare, second, Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machines. Thank you, everyone.